and she gets into a basket, but then they find out that she's in the basket and they pick her up.
Because of this stupid monkey. It's very upsetting. I've never been more mad at a monkey. When it's screeching on top of the basket and she's trying it, and I'm just, I hate that monkey's a bad monkey.
And Laci gets mad at a lot of monkeys, but I've rarely seen this level of vitriol to a simian.
Well, it was such a sweet little thing that they had, and they were calling it their baby.
You know what I love is once he thinks that Marion is dead, he still takes care of the monkey. The monkey goes to the bar with him.
It reminds her of him, even though he doesn't realize the monkey's a spy.
Make sure try this mashed potatoes. E.T. would like a Reese's Piece. This child robot's out here looking for love. Two mice fell in a bucket of cream.
The oasis is where we go gunting. Bingo, dino, DNA. Indiana Jones and his greaser's son find ancient aliens from outer space.
So we made this change to our podcast. Talking Spielberg until school reconvenes. We're ambling on bikes, our parents got a divorce. This is the temporary no-bearing beans.
Yes, indeed. It's load-bearing beams. The summer of Spielberg is upon us. We're in leg 2 of the summer of Spielberg, and I'm Matt Stokes.
I'm Laci Roth, and I know I've started the podcast off more than once this way, so I apologize for this apology, but I'm sorry about my boobs.
What?
This shirt, it's all I can see.
What do you mean?
It's not attractive. It's just, they're just a lump sum. Just a sausage.
Just a lot of boobs.
But not in a cool way. I don't have cool boobs right now.
I don't agree with that at all.
I have distracting tornadoes? What am I trying to say? Torpedoes. Yabos.
Oh my God, her
Oh my
yabos.
God,
I love
my
sitting and
yabba.
thinking about them in my bed. Laci's yabos. It's the lamest thing about me that I think my wife's boobs and butt are so hot.
It's my favorite.
I'm like,
two
I'm a
things.
very intellectual man, you know?
Boobs and butt.
I'm like, that's just the best. So this podcast is a podcast, Load Bearing Beams, where Laci and I, who are married to each other, if you're just joining us for the first time.
Sorry.
And we talk about movies that we like a lot or that we remember fondly. Except this summer, we're not doing that. We're talking about some of the films of Steven Spielberg.
Okay, but to be fair, we like them a lot and remember them fondly.
Sure.
So it's just not, this movie is so important to me. I'm going to get on a soapbox and defend its honor to you, Matt, who has not seen it. And then vice versa, the next episode. That's not exactly the formula this summer, and we're fine with it.
Though surely Raiders of the Lost Ark has to be for so many people.
Absolutely.
And what we found, and yes, it's a movie I love dearly. I didn't watch it as a kid, but and you thought you loved it too. And what we found watching this movie is you're like, oh, I kind of mushed all the Indiana Jones movies together.
To one, yeah.
And while she enjoyed this movie and thought it was good, she's like, yeah, it's fine. Right. And I was like, are you kidding? This is poetry, baby.
Emotion, literally.
And like, I actually do think that. I'm like, this is the height of what you can do with this cinematic art form.
It is a wild thing to discover that I have an iconic image in my head of what these movies are, and it's just the person. It's just Harrison Ford. I can't even say it's Indiana Jones. It's just, I love the whole look of that character and the vibe of him. I want him to be nice to me. Like he strikes all the chords, and on the strength of that, this movie in my head, these movies, and anyone who likes them will always get to be in the spot of cool in my brain. They just will. These movies are cool. They're just not lame to like these. It's cool. Mm-hmm. It's my default. I didn't have discovered, because we just watched the movie, the first one. He's doing a lot of work. I mean, I like the movie. No, I don't mean he's working too hard. Are you making faces at me or because you're in pain?
No, at you. You just can't see me because I'm behind a thing.
No, I saw half of you and it was unfortunate looking.
Who's doing a lot of work?
No. I just meant for the memory of it, for the cool slot, it really is all about him to me. Although I love Marion, I love Salah, is that his name? Mm-hmm. The best friend character. There's great characters. There's fun action sequences. I love when Marion and what's his nose get drunk in the tent. Like there's all kinds of good stuff. But it's not exactly for me, and that's okay. I'm not a shut off your brain and watch action kind of person. I am a shut off your brain and watch a rom-com kind of, it's not like I don't enjoy something that doesn't have to be like airtight and completely story driven. I don't know the right words here.
Yeah, well, so like, and I object to you saying turn off your brain, because I think
but that's what you kept saying about it, is that this is you just along
you
for
go
the
for
ride.
the ride. Yes, but I don't think that involves
off your
shutting off your brain. I mean, I think that the way great poetry can take you along. Because I think that for me, this is about the filmmaking. This is about action filmmaking and what it can do, and the joy that Spielberg has in his execution of how sort of effortless this is for him.
But not, right? Because he actually is meticulous and puts in lots of effort. But he's a planner.
But effortless in the makes it look effortless. Like
that is true.
This production might kill an ordinary director.
And when you look at it like that, it is a work of art. I would never say it's not. But is the art something I hang in my house and look at it when I'm at my desk? Like, is it in my eye range? This is that art for me? No. But I can still acknowledge that it's important and very good. And you're right. It's a symphony. It's a bunch of players coming together with their craft and doing it in a way that looks like, natural. And it's a ton going on. But it is a few too many things going on for me to like feel really chill while watching it.
Yeah.
So many years since the first time I did. It so much better.
I feel similarly about the Indiana Jones movies, the
Mad
way
Max.
I do the Mad Max movies. Now, what I forgot about is, Indiana Jones is in a lineage with James Bond. That's why Spielberg casts Sean Connery to play Indiana Jones's father, because James Bond is the father of Indiana Jones. And you don't love the James Bond movies. And I'm not saying this is why you don't love them. Go ahead.
It's another thing. That's another cool thing to like. And I would have argued, no, I like them. But then you're right. I get in the ride. I'm like, I'm done.
Mm-hmm. But I think that with spy movies, because I grew up watching them, I'm like, I understand, hey, you don't have to follow this plot. It's okay. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
It is literally just there so stuff can happen.
You're hitting on something. It's my hypervigilance. I am trying to hold all the plot line. I don't know what is going to be a thing I need to know in order to enjoy another moment later. You mentioned Mad Max. I love Mad Max because of the simplicity. I love the world. I love the whole look of it, and just the like. I don't know. It's fun and terrifying, and I think that's hard to do. But it's simple. Mm-hmm. It's even linear. It's just a drive forward usually. Other Spielberg movies are just simpler story. I guess I just found this one to have a lot of threads, and I think I was overthinking each of them, and it did not feel relaxing to watch this movie. There were fun moments, but I wouldn't have called it fun. And I don't know, maybe because I know it's important to you, and I'm like, I better really absorb this shit.
And I think that I've seen it so many times that I assume it's simple, but seeing it through your eyes, like, okay, no, this is a little more complicated than I necessarily thought, but I also have the but it doesn't matter. And I also think it's an impeccably written movie. I think there's an economy in how much information they get out. Like when Indy meets Marion in the bar, like how much you learn about their relationship with so few words.
Yeah.
But I could see that also means it's easy to miss stuff, but we're wired pretty differently. Like if you don't hear a line that a character says, you're like, what did that person say? And you make us rewind. Whereas I'm always like, just keep going. I don't mind leaving the movie to pee. It doesn't worry me. But you're not, you're hypervigilant. You need everything.
I'm worried I'm going to miss some larger point. Mm-hmm. I'm worried I'm going to walk away I spent the 2 hours. I want to be educated on the film when I leave. Otherwise, it's like, what did I even do that for?
Yeah. So, okay, those are our big picture thoughts. We will be doing, hey, everybody listening, everybody watching us on YouTube, we are going to talk way more about Indiana Jones in 1 week on July 19th in the evening at 9 p.m. Eastern.
I already forgot.
On TikTok Live. Okay, our TikTok handle is @load.bearing.beams. And we're just going to be talking about the Indiana Jones series. So if you want to join us, if you want to comment, if you want to aid us in our discussion, please do.
Are there any huge fans of the Indiana Jones franchise out there. I can't think of anyone that like stands out in my TikTok universe. There are so many franchises of so many kinds of, and this is one. This seems to be, not that they don't like it, but I can't think of a fanatic off the top of my head
For whom this is their series.
Like I don't have a guy or a gal where I'd be like, you know who needs to join us for this? But
I do. Patrick Perot.
okay, he does not need to.
But he's not going to join us.
he
doesn't
chaos.
give a shit.
He is chaos.
Patrick is a huge Indiana Jones fan. If you're not on TikTok, I believe that if you go to tiktok.com on a desktop, you can watch a live without signing in.
I think so.
Otherwise, we will have a recording of this that we will put out as our bonus episode 3 weeks from today when we're off.
Matt, speaking of recording,
Yes.
do we need to like say up at the top, like this is a weird video for us because I did not turn on the camera when we recorded the entire history part of it yesterday. Mm-hmm. I turned on the camera today, but Matt had already turned it on. So that means I turned it off yet again today. So now we'll be using the backup camera, which was not on yesterday. So it's some dicey video editing, and it's not Matt's fault. Just want to put that out there.
This isn't as impeccably run a production as is Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Okay, whatever. You do pretty damn good on the video stuff, and I'm saying it's going to be choppy.
Yeah. Well, that's okay.
Okay.
I guess, should we share our individual histories with Indiana Jones? Do you remember seeing this did you watch these movies as a kid?
I must have, because they are not foreign to me, but they're not baked in. So it would have had to be a long time ago. And I know I at least saw 2 of them. When we watched the third one in preparation for the TikTok, I'll know then. Like, is this part of my? I remember Sean Connery, but I don't remember any of the beats of the movie.
Or like, is it just pop culture osmosis? It just sunk in somehow.
Exactly.
And you've seen Temple of Doom. You know Indy's young sidekick Short Round. You know they're in a roller coaster of sorts.
I remember Monkey Brains. I remember a female lead that I didn't like as much as Marion.
No one does.
I remember that. I remember several essay moments. It seems like I remember being real rowdy with that blonde. Couple people.
I don't think that. They're just gonna kill her.
Yeah, well, that sucks.
It does suck. She's not happy about it.
There's a bedroom part that I thought was like, shall we rape?
That's all consensual.
Oh, okay. Consensual rape. Sorry.
Consensual rape. Yes. But okay. When you ranked your top movies of the 80s, you included Raiders of the Lost Ark. And I think that I took that seriously, and I was like, well, Laci's going to love this movie. And it's, why does she love this movie but doesn't love Star Wars? They're basically the same thing.
I'm baffled. I remember that. Okay. When I do my top 10 list, I will pull up a list that's like top 100 whatever of this. And then I'll just go, which ones of these mean something to me? Slide them in. And like I'm telling you, it's just Harrison Ford. If it could have just said Harrison Ford, I just would have slotted him in there. Look at him.
If it had been Witness, you'd be like, yeah, Witness. My favorite movie of the 80s.
Presumed Innocent.
That's a movie.
It's literally right here.
I've been dying to watch. I've never seen Presumed Innocent. I want to watch it so fucking bad.
You want to watch it on DVD?
I think it's on HBO Max.
Okay, so you don't. Okay.
But it's just like Harrison Ford, and there's a lawyer, and there's accused of a crime. Like
that never happens to him.
Yes.
Okay.
Because The Fugitive is so fucking good. I'm good.
You're excited. All right. Anyway, so yeah, quit bringing up my lists and making me atone.
For those who pay close attention, they'll be like, well, Laci said that she loves Raiders of the Lost Ark, and now she seems skeptical of it.
I'm not skeptical. But there were no nostalgia berries, no feel, no like, ooh, I got it. Like I don't feel the need to like defend this movie, although I recognize that it's good and I love looking at him. Mm-hmm. The end.
Okay. Though I loved the Star Wars movies as a child, I watched them over and over and over again. For some reason, Indiana Jones, never watched it. Never. No, my dad didn't show movies to me. I think that for lots of boys, it's my father showed me this movie.
Or older sibling.
Or cousin. Yes. He also didn't show me James Bond movies, but when they would come to theaters, my dad would take me. But it's not like he's like, sit down, son, we need to watch Goldfinger.
Okay, but he doesn't sit you down and tell you anything. It's not his style.
No, it's not. It's sit down and let's go fishing and not catch fish.
Okay. Low blow. That
He
man.
caught a fish on his vacation last week.
Oh, fuck yeah. Good for you.
A tiny little fish. And I said, do you think you're hallucinating? And my dad responded to me. He said, LOL. And I was like, if I traveled in
Father?
time from, I don't know, 10 years ago, it's like your dad's going to be texting you LOL.
Your mom
What
had the phone.
Yeah, maybe. Okay. Never saw these movies until age 16. When I started becoming a film snob, I'm watching every movie on the American Film Institute's top 100 films, and Raiders of the Lost Ark is there among 5 total Steven Spielberg movies, because Steven Spielberg's a big donor to the American Film Institute.
Oh, ouch. Okay.
And board member and everything. So I'm like, okay, I need to see Raiders of the Lost Ark then. And I watch it. I'm like, yeah, that's good. And I think I only see the sequels when they come out on DVD, and I watch them, and I watch Raiders. All this is to say, for me, this is not a childhood movie.
Mm-hmm. It's a later in life appreciation for the craft.
And I think the older I get, the more I really, really love this specific movie. And I like Temple of Doom and Last Crusade, and even Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I don't love Last Crusade the way other people do. I think for some people, Last Crusade is the best movie.
Is that the third?
Yeah, that's with Sean Connery. I just watched it a few days ago. I swing wildly back and forth. That's I'm like it's
I'll help you.
trying to do what Raiders was doing, and
I'll
it's
tell you
just
if it's
kind of
good.
uninspired. No, it's good,
No, I'll
but
tell
it's
you.
not the poetry.
We don't know yet. I'll tell you.
But it's just interesting. There's like
You're a completist.
we talk about nostalgia on this podcast, and I always try to push back, say like nostalgia is bad. You need to appreciate things with a sober mind of an adult. And there's movies
don't have nostalgia.
there's movies that I come to late in life and love the way some people loved them as a kid. Raiders of the Lost Ark is one. I think Gremlins is another that I didn't see until I was in college, and I love it now so
And
much.
all slasher movies, you like dove into those later in life. Those were not
No,
your bread and butter, right?
Well, I loved them as a teenager, and then I put them away. I was like, these aren't
Oh.
serious pictures.
Never mind then.
And then returned
I was
to them.
going to say though that you do like to devour things in a holistic way. You didn't always do this, maybe, I don't know, but to pick a director and then consume all of their stuff in a row, including reading biographies, like you're preparing for some sort of dissertation or whatever. But you start to develop this fondness for the components behind the scenes, the person, the people that you're not seeing, the point of view that you maybe didn't take. Maybe you took it for granted, and to see everything in a row, to realize how many stories someone has inside of them, and to make them all good is just damn impressive. Not that they wrote them, but you know what I mean.
And that knowing that stuff just makes it better,
Yeah.
even better. Yeah, it's like if you love a band or a musical artist.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. I love Harrison Ford. So, like, I just enjoy him in anything he's in. I can't think of any movie where I don't like him, or he doesn't make it better.
But you don't love the Star Wars movies.
Oh, yeah, that's the one. It's just okay. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
He's my favorite parts of them. I like the new Star Wars. I mean, tell them the ones I like, please. The ones with Rey in them.
The ones that everyone on the internet hates and is going to go to war over are the ones Laci likes.
You're welcome.
Okay, shall we talk about the history of Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Yes.
Okay. With Indiana Jones, with Raiders in particular, you got your 3 main people responsible for Indiana Jones. Who would you say they are?
George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, and Harrison Ford.
Yeah. And I think until doing the research for this, I would have said, well, the person most responsible is obviously Steven Spielberg, and then probably Harrison Ford, and then George Lucas. But in doing all the research and in hearing from Steven Spielberg, like Steven Spielberg always says, he says it in the Joseph McBride book that you're reading, that the Indiana Jones movies are George's movies. He's the hired help. He always says that about himself. I'm just hired here to point the camera and shoot it.
Yeah, I'm looking at a picture right now. I assume this might be from the book you've been reading. I'm kind of surprised to see George Lucas. I wouldn't have assumed this either. I wouldn't assume that a producer is on set, but a producer is a lot of things, right? So sometimes it's just money.
And George Lucas wasn't the producer of this. And like
Oh, I'm
producer,
sorry. What is he?
so he's the executive producer and he has a story by credit. But that I think that belies how involved he is. And he was on set and he was very hands-on in a way that he wasn't necessarily with other movies like Howard the Duck that he executive produced.
Okay.
But the producer, that's a good question. The sort of classic Hollywood idea of a producer is somebody who is on set. Frank Marshall is the producer of this movie. He's kind of the platonic ideal of that kind of producer. And what he does is like make the ship run. Like a production is a giant $100 million like business that you've
Okay. So
started.
he's making sure, like, hey guys, just so you know, the sun's setting. Like, we have these people on staff for this many. Like, if we run over, we have to pay them another day. So
Yep. You got your budget.
The guy
Here's
with
how we stick to a
the
budget.
Headset. He's got a headset and a walkie-talkie.
Exactly. And like, hey, this scene, we have tarantulas all over our back. The producer's got to go get a tarantula guy. How do we get tarantulas? So he's like making thousands of decisions like that. How do we get tarantulas?
He's Tina Fey from 30 Rock.
But like, that's not what George Lucas was doing here either.
You know what he's doing? He doesn't like being a director. He doesn't like probably all the soft skills stuff, you know, and like, and he doesn't necessarily know when an actor is doing it wrong, even if he can feel it's wrong. He maybe doesn't know how to guide. So I could totally see him wanting to just kind of shadow, like just be like, okay, here's what I meant by this. Do that. You know, like that makes sense for him to pick a partner who's really good at working with people.
Yeah.
I like there should be more directing duos. I love this.
Well, so on our episode about Star Wars, episode 100, we talked a lot about the psyche of George Lucas and how he talked about not liking directing and not like writing, not how he didn't like directing and he didn't like writing. It's like, well, what do you like to do? And he's like, I like the technology.
You like technology? Wait, what technology's in this? It's God.
Well, it's practical special effects. But
Okay, he likes the technology of like what you can put on a screen that you couldn't put on a screen 5 years ago.
He's good with special effects. And I think he's like a big picture story guy, and he likes running his business. He likes running Lucasfilm.
You know what was a standout in this movie is the gore. Whose hand was that? It doesn't seem super Spielbergy to have a lot of blood and skeletons and flesh. Like the melting face thing that happens where the guy turns milk and then blood is like, who? So there's some new influence in the mix here.
It is. In my head, that scene, it looks dumb, and then I watch it like, this is fucking intense and crazy and awesome.
You know what? It literally had a bad taste in my mouth. So like when we order out, it is like such a fun moment for me when the food gets there. Like, ooh, gonna have something to watch when I eat this. Oh my God, my two favorite things: food I didn't cook, watching stuff, and then and I'm just like. I literally got grossed out. Well, I think I got mad at the movie from the jump, and I'm like, I don't want any of this chicken right now. Like, it yucked my yum. So then the rest of the time, every time the movie was gross, I'm like, how's anyone supposed to eat popcorn to this?
I don't want to see. I don't like eating while I watch stuff. For that reason, it stresses me out.
Gross.
I don't want to mix these things.
Right, like now ranch and chicken tastes like eyeball melts.
It tastes like God.
Lightning God.
So Spielberg has these are George's movies. I'm the hired help. I'm the journeyman director, and it's like that's false modesty. Partially.
Absolutely.
And it's also, I think it's like sort of self-mythologizing because they said this is like a throwback picture to the days of MGM Studios and RKO, and you made a big picture, and there the director was a literal contract employee of the studio. It's like, who's available to direct this picture? Michael Curtiz, you go do it.
Okay.
Where the studio heads and the producers were way more in control of the movie artistically. And I think he likes the idea that that's the role he's serving here.
Who doesn't want to be like the behind the scenes idea guy? I got to do this for the last 7 weeks. I got to like be part of a production of a play for tweens and teens that they worked their asses off. They had a director and a choreographer and a chorus instructor that they all knew exactly what they were doing. I just happened to be there the whole time. So what I got to do is just, hey, Pam, what if that guy goes and sits over here? Oh, that's a great, thank you. You know, I just don't have an eye for this kind of stuff. It's fine, Pam. It's fine. I do. I'm just sitting here. I'm just the woman behind the man, the man, the woman, okay?
That's perfect for you. You should
I
go
love
do that
having
on
thoughts.
movies.
I love it. I want to sit behind and go, I'm not saying this smart. If they were mice, that's how we would have that conversation.
And the play was a big success.
Someone that hairy shouldn't be next to something that hairy. We're looking at a picture of George Lucas.
Of George Lucas with
hugging
his dog,
a wolfie.
Indiana is the name of his dog.
A hookie?
A husky?
I
think it's a marmaloot or a
it
marmor.
It
What-
looks very furry.
Okay. American Graffiti comes out in 1973. And at that point, George Lucas is commissioned by Fox to write a screenplay for Star Wars. But as often happens when he sits down to write a screenplay, he struggles. And so he got interested in other things like archaeology and grave robbers. And he came up with the character of Indiana Smith.
Ugh.
And he said, quote, Star Wars and Indiana Smith are both based on the serial matinees I loved when I was a kid. Action movies about adventurers set in exotic locales with a cliffhanger every second. I wondered why they didn't make movies like that anymore. I still wanted to see them, end quote. The primary source for this is The Making of the Indiana Jones Movies by J.W. Binsler. An excellent, really comprehensive book about the making of all these Indiana Jones movies. And so, yeah, his dog's name was Indiana. So we named the character after that. And he wanted to give the character an all-American last name, hence Smith. So he hired writer-director Philip Kaufman, the guy who went on to direct The Right Stuff, to help him develop Indiana Smith. And Kaufman was very interested in the Ark of the Covenant. So he told George about the Ark of the Covenant, and they started coming up with stuff together. And that's why on every Indiana Jones movie, it's Indiana Jones created by George Lucas and Philip Kaufman.
Okay.
And at this point, he's more of a playboy in the vein of James Bond. He likes caviar and champagne and the fine things in life and fucking lots of women. And the reason he goes on these treasure hunts is to finance his playboy lifestyle. And so that's where they have the character at that point.
Can you tell me what a mercenary is? I used the word earlier and realized I wasn't sure what it meant.
Hired to go kill or hired to go
Okay,
on
that's
a mission.
what okay, see? That's where I got. So he could also just be someone that needs to go steal something from someone, not necessarily kill the person.
Yeah, I mean, I think of it mainly as you go kill, but let's say hire you for an unsavory task.
Indiana refers to Bullock.
Belloc?
I was so close you could have just said yes. Belloc as a mercenary at one point. And he wasn't necessarily going to kill anyone. He was just going to take something from Indiana that he worked hard to find. So that's what I was confusing. I thought mercenaries also killed, but I guess they can. They don't have to.
Good question. Can a mercenary not kill?
Yeah. We already answered.
Spielberg and George Lucas became good friends in the early 1970s. They would hang out on each other's sets and give each other feedback and support. And George Lucas showed a rough cut of Star Wars to a group of his filmmakers' friends. And I will now read from Brian J. Jones's book about George Lucas. Quote, in late February, George and Marcia invited a small group of friends, including Spielberg, Brian De Palma, the Hikes, the people who made Howard the Duck, John Milius, Hal Barwood, and Matthew Robbins.
Were they invited ever again? Get
for a
the fuck
look
out.
at the most recent cut. I show them all my footage and they give me precious opinions that I can count on, Lucas explained later. When you don't know people well, they either give you dishonest compliments or tell you how they would shoot it, and that's not what you're asking them for. With this group, however, honesty wouldn't be a problem. The reaction, said Spielberg frankly, was not a good one. When the lights came up, Marcia, who hadn't seen the film since the first cut, burst into tears, certain it was a disaster. Hike muttered that he found the opening crawl jiggly, and it went on forever. Barwood tried to be supportive, reassuring Lucas that there was still enough time to fix everything if they could find some extra footage. Brian De Palma, however, was blistering in his criticism.
What movie are we talking about?
Star Wars.
Sorry. Sorry.
Saying, quote, what is this Force shit? Why isn't there blood when they shoot people? De Palma would continue to rail at Lucas over dinner at a Chinese restaurant, like a crazed dog. Still, Lucas refused to back down. You should talk, Lucas told De Palma snarkily. None of your films have made a dime. And then it goes on. Still, there was one person in the room who was impressed. I loved it because I loved the story and the characters, said Spielberg. I was probably the only one who liked it, and I told George how much I loved it. That evening, the studio head Alan Ladd called Spielberg on the slide, asked what he thought he had seen, and Spielberg told the executive he thought he had a hit on his hands, one that would eventually make $50 or $60 million. Wow, were we wrong? Laughed Spielberg. End quote. So Just the point is they were even before they worked together, they were like collaborators in this sense. Like they'd give each other feedback and
they see what others are having trouble. See, when something has not been done before, I could see it being hard to sell until it works. It works until it doesn't. I mean, you could put the same movie on the screen and then have every audience walk out like, what the fuck? And then all of a sudden you've got a bad movie. It's the same movie.
Right.
You just have to see what other people want to see that they don't know they want it yet.
And in this case, the only one who saw like what he was actually going for and what's special about this movie. Yeah. And so, yeah, he's going to stand out among this whole group of filmmaker friends you have.
I'd say James Cameron is another one that just builds these worlds, and I don't know, people go on to imitate the stuff that they have done, and then it becomes like, oh yeah, this has always existed. But yes, someone has to start building these sometimes very childish worlds that don't quite exist yet.
And the problem is like every hack can say like nobody believed in James Cameron either. Nobody thought he could do it. No, it didn't make sense until you saw it up on screen. And that's what it's going to be like with my movie, I promise.
First they ridicule you, then they fight you, and then they fall in line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Elizabeth Holmes.
Yes, Elizabeth Holmes, perfect example. Every business psycho read the Steve Jobs book and said, I could be like Steve Jobs. He also didn't accept any criticism.
And is just a nightmare to work with. I've got both of those things down.
So,
that's not me. That's me being Elizabeth Holmes. I've got those. No, that was the lady from Us. Sorry.
They're the same. They're kind of the same. Mm-hmm. There was a girl with blood in her hand.
There once was a girl. He's a rub. Nope. They won't even, the microphone won't even pick it up. That's so guttural.
Can I say this about Theranos?
I guess.
People, get a fucking blood test. Get a needle. That's all.
But her uncle.
My uncle was afraid of needles.
He was very afraid.
I mean, hey, here's what sounds painful. Getting your fucking finger pricked. That sounds worse to me than a shot or a needle.
Okay, but people have to do that every single day if they have diabetes. So maybe you should stop being a pussy.
I guess so.
And get diabetes.
I guess so. I get a lot of shots.
Yeah, I take one once a month in my leg. Sorry, Matt.
In each of my legs.
In both of my leggies. I use those to walk and run. Look, he's crying.
It's true. So the famous story that Spielberg and Lucas have told a billion times is that when Star Wars premiered in May of 1977, they took a little vacation together to Hawaii to get away from it all. And Spielberg had wrapped production on Close Encounters. George Lucas was very anxious about Star Wars, whether it would make any money, how it would be received, but he kept taking calls from the studio and they're like, it's a hit. Theaters are sold out all over the country. So he started to get more relaxed and jovial.
Oh.
And
jokester.
Spielberg, so the conversation turns toward what they want to do in the future. And
Swing.
Spielberg says he wants to direct a James Bond movie, but he wants to do it more like the old Sean Connery James Bonds that were more serious, not like these new silly Roger Moore ones. And according to many interviews he's given, Spielberg said that at the time, well, after he made Jaws, he called up Cubby Broccoli, the producer of James Bond.
Believe me, I can't forget that fucking name.
Cubby, I want to make a James Bond. And they told him he wouldn't be a good fit. So then after he made Close Encounters and it was a huge hit, he called again and they said, now you're too expensive. So
first they fight you, then they ridicule you. Okay, sorry.
So yeah, he'd always wanted to, but also like James Bond movies are very, they don't give a lot of control to the directors.
Right. It's a franchise that's existed forever. It's probably like Doctor Who or whatever.
Yeah.
Which I've never seen one episode of. Just
Can you tell me what Doctor Who is?
It's about a phone booth. That's all I know. Time travel or some such shit. But I mean, it's gone through so many hands, right? There's so many generations of it. It's like it's got to be someone way up the ladder that's just controlling the property and leasing it out. And it's like a little McDonald's. What am I trying to say? A franchise. Wait, it's a franchise.
It is a franchise.
Yes.
With James Bond, it's funny because like it's just this family that made a very one-sided deal with the author of James Bond in the 50s or the 60s. They're like, we'll just own James Bond for the rest of time and we'll pay you $100. And he's like, okay, yes. And yeah, that family only exists to make the Broccolis. That's all they exist to do is hold the James Bond rights.
Chopping broccoli.
So Lucas said, like, don't worry about James Bond. I've got something even better. He told him about his idea for Raiders of the Lost Ark. He said, you should make a Raiders film. And Spielberg said, what's a Raiders film? And he's like,
Go on.
he's got a movie called Raiders of the Lost Ark, and he has 2 sequels. He doesn't know what they'll be called, but the second one will be Raiders of something, and the third will be Raiders of something else.
Panties.
Which is interesting. Would you like the movies if they were all called Raiders of whatever?
I don't think I'd care.
It's weird because like Indiana Jones is one of the Raiders of the Lost Ark,
Yeah, he raided that shit.
but Raiders is bad.
Well, it's just an action. It's just a verb. You raid. You go get that. He
that's-
busted it.
It's got like a negative connotation.
He opened things. They are very cocky about how they open these ancient things, including entire cave systems. And
Yeah, you pointed out like
it's like, oh no, this is a 2-man job. Lift. Like, how did you know?
they know exactly how to lift. How I did know John Rhys Davies, who plays Sala, is very bad at pretending to be lifting something heavy. Like he's
I liked all of his faces, especially when the idiot is in the snake area and he's like, Sala, and then he goes, me. It's you.
So, yeah, George Lucas explains his idea, this idea that he's been marinating on for 5 years or more of doing a throwback to the serials of the 30s and 40s, of the old Hollywood pictures from the 30s, 40s, and 50s. But it'll also be kind of like James Bond, but you know, it'll be a period piece. It'll be set in the 30s. He'll be an archaeologist instead of a spy. It'll be globe-trotting adventures. And we'll make it like they used to make the old pictures on sound stages and stuff.
That I can see.
And-
What location did they go to? Just one?
They went to Tunisia and they went to Hawaii.
Fucking Hawaii. They must have had great deals on taxes.
Yeah.
Everyone goes there.
Otherwise, they filmed it at Elstree Studio in London.
Oh, why there?
George Lucas discovered that he liked making things in London because he could avoid those pesky Hollywood unions. George Lucas
My
hates
guy.
unions.
Okay.
He's not made a movie in America since the 70s. Okay.
Is this fucking weasel?
That is Lawrence Kasdan,
Weasel!
writer of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh.
So Spielberg, after they left, they finished building their sandcastles together. They have this deal. We'll make Raiders of the Lost Ark. George Lucas doesn't want to direct it. He doesn't want to direct movies ever again. Spielberg, you'll direct it. Okay, good. They have a handshake deal. Spielberg goes off to finish post-production on Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and then he'd already committed to directing his movie 1941, and George Lucas was developing the sequel to Star Wars. But they were still in the background working on Raiders of the Lost Ark, on, you know, they've always got things percolating. This is the thing that will ultimately be produced 4 years from now, but the way it starts is we write our lawyers like write letters to each other to figure all this stuff out. Yeah, they hire this guy, Lawrence Kasdan, to write the screenplay. And the three of them get together for a period of 4 days in January 1978 and just trade ideas back and forth. And these are recorded and then transcribed. And in the book I mentioned, you can read some of these excerpts, and they're very interesting. And clearly the conversation is being dominated by George Lucas. He's the one with most of the ideas. And then Spielberg will be like, yeah, I like that. So
That's what she said.
Lawrence Kasdan is then given the assignment, like, take all these transcripts and go turn it all into a screenplay. And coming off of Star Wars and Close Encounters, these two guys were basically in a position to ask for whatever they wanted from a studio. And George Lucas said, quote, let's make the best deal they've ever made in Hollywood, end quote. They wanted to own the movie. They wanted like a significant portion of the gross revenue. Basically total creative control in exchange for a certain figure. And the promise that they offered to the studios was, we will get this in 87 days, although they knew that they could actually get it done in 73 days. With the point being, the studio can't complain because we're getting it done so fast.
Yeah, I know.
So
Told you they rushed.
they eventually sold it to Paramount, and the guy running Paramount at the time, Michael Eisner, basically staked his career on making this deal that he was criticized for giving so much power to the filmmakers, signing away ownership of the movie, but it was the biggest hit in the history of Paramount. It basically made his career and catapulted him to eventually become the Disney CEO. Okay. Then they got to cast these roles. There was an extensive casting process for the main two roles. For Marion, they had an easier time finding Marion. The finalists were Deborah Winger, Sean Young, and Karen Allen. Karen Allen eventually won the role. She had been in Animal House and
That's it.
Cruising, and she was 29 years old.
Kind of older than I thought she was, actually. But she's a firecracker, that one.
Yeah, 5'7".
I'm sorry, who's this fucking nerd I'm looking at? What is that? What's Harrison Ford doing?
That's Harrison Ford from Apocalypse Now.
Ew!
Harrison Ford was 38 years old.
Sick!
What?
Take
just
the
don't like him 'cause
glasses
he's
off,
wearing glasses?
Poindexter. I don't know. He doesn't look rugged at all.
No, he's not.
He looks very air conditioned.
He's
I don't
not
like
rugged
it.
in that movie.
I mean,
He's
I'm glistening.
sitting very comfortably behind a desk.
Glistening, I tell you.
They chose not to audition Harrison Ford. Even in the early casting notices, they said, we're looking for a Harrison Ford type. Never talked to Harrison Ford himself about it. George Lucas, we talked about this with Star Wars. He didn't want to work with any actors from movie to movie. Didn't want to.
It sounds like he was really scared of making someone's career that wasn't him. Like they're going to ride on my coattails, or studios are going to start insisting I always bring this person along. Like he won't know it's him if he's with too much of a charismatic muse.
I think that's it. I mean, I think, and you
Makes
just don't
sense.
want to be known as like, yeah, but
A
can he do it
package.
without Harrison Ford though?
Right. See, smart. But
And,
Harrison
like-
Ford won't leave him alone.
Yeah, he doesn't have any. He only has his first movie, THX. That's the only one that doesn't have Harrison Ford in it. I mean, other than the Star Wars prequels. So, yeah, the man that they want is Tom Selleck, and they make an offer to him, and they screen test him. You can watch him as Indiana Jones, but like what happened with Pierce Brosnan and James Bond is once he got offered this role, the TV network that he that held his rights then exercised its option on him. Like they weren't gonna move Magnum PI from pilot to series. Like they passed on the pilot, but then they heard that the star of their pilot got hired by George Lucas and Steven Spielberg. So they're like, oh, never mind. We're gonna produce the series after all. We're gonna order the series. And the same thing happened with Pierce Brosnan. When he got offered James Bond, then they renewed Remington Steele. So Tom Selleck wasn't available, and Spielberg said, well, at least now we can hire Harrison Ford. And so they go to Harrison Ford, and he has to commit to 2 sequels, and he has to commit to another Star Wars sequel because it was up in the air whether he would return for Return of the Jedi.
This is fun. George Lucas is like, I don't want to keep working with him. Make him work with me 4 more times though. Okay. Okay.
He had also been like, during Empire Strikes Back, he's like, can you kill my character, please? Can I just get out of here? And Empire Strikes Back ends with Han Solo getting frozen in carbonite, and they left it up in the air about whether he would return for the sequel. If Harrison Ford didn't sign on, they would just be like, yep, never were able to rescue Han. But they got him
Leia could
back,
just
so
lick the, just try to get to the center.
I'm getting there.
I gotta,
Movies filmed at L Street Studios in 73 days. They also shot in Hawaii and Tunisia, and it was an enormous hit. It basically saved Paramount, made Michael Eisner's career. Biggest movie of 1981, made $212 million. That's $754 million today.
Jesus.
The second biggest movie of 1981 was On Golden Pond, a movie about some old fucking people
It's yep.
sitting around and being like, we're old. My daughter.
My joints.
And but reviews were mixed to positive. Joseph McBride, who wrote that Spielberg book that we're reading, he's like very dismissive of the movie. He calls it like fluff. It's empty.
Okay.
After his leap forward with Close Encounters, he unfortunately went backwards and made this garbage. And I think today its reputation is much better. I actually think that like movie criticism has sort of evolved to be more appreciative of craft.
Yeah.
The same thing has happened in music criticism. Like it used to be rock music was the only viable genre to take seriously. And now it's like, no, a Madonna song can also be.
Right. What all went into this? How much of a virtuoso or just how dedicated to the process is the artist?
And the production is an artistry in itself. Craft is how well crafted a thing is. That's also valuable and something to take seriously.
Did I get this done in the time frame I said? Did I make sure that there were no lawsuits or mistreated actors? Did all of the things I said would happen make it into the? I mean, I can just imagine it needs to be the full package. Utilizing resources appropriately, and I don't know.
Well,
Something that makes someone good at directing would be someone that people want to work with again.
yeah, that I do think about that actually. Like with somebody like George Miller, who made makes the Mad Max movies, and the Fury Road and Furiosa were such nightmarish productions, but the movies are good. I think, like, would I say he's a good director?
Right.
I mean, I do, but it's like, you make good movies, but I don't know that makes you a good director
Right.
if everyone had such a miserable time working for you.
Yep. It doesn't mean you're not an artist.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
good director, maybe that's not it. Maybe you're a visionary. Maybe you get things done, but the cost is too expensive, both financially and people wise.
Yep.
Like Kubrick. I'm going to get put on a stake for that one, but maybe he's amazing visionary. That doesn't mean he's good whole package guy.
Right. There's things part of the job is working with people.
Right. If you're Spielberg, you can pump out a bunch of really great movies and some not so good, but still good. If you're Kubrick, you got what? 7? How many movies did he make?
He has 13, actually.
That's what I said, 13.
But like, so you evaluate a movie like Raiders of the Lost Ark, like this movie is just trying to entertain you. It's not trying to say anything. It's not like a Terrence Malick movie or an Ingmar Bergman movie. It is just pure entertainment. So judged on those merits, how good is it at doing what it's trying to do?
And is it valid to just try to do that?
Right, exactly. And I think now criticism is more open to, of course it is. And that's just as valuable as trying to make a big statement. So yeah, sequels. 1984, there was Temple of Doom. 1989, Last Crusade. 1982, there was the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles on ABC. Did you watch this?
I remember it. I didn't watch it.
2008, there was Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. And then last year, The Dial of Destiny, which Spielberg and Lucas were not involved with.
Okay.
And
Why even do it then?
because Harrison Ford wanted to do it.
He did.
Well, I don't know that he wanted to do it, but they're making that movie. Get on board if you want to get on board.
Okay. It doesn't sound like you wanted to do it.
I mean, he wanted to do it, and they, as long as they were willing to pay him $25 million.
So he had a gambling debt, is what you're trying to tell me.
He loves money. He loves talking about how much he loves money.
He does?
Yeah.
What? That seems like such a dad wouldn't have applied that to him.
Yeah.
You think you know a guy?
Well, he's watch interviews with him. He's a grumpy, and he's stoned, and he's sleepy, and he's just like
Grumpy. He's a grumpy stone to sleepy.
he's just like, I just want money.
It's just
He wants to fly his plane, not well, and get money, please. And he'll do a good job.
yeah. He's good at being a crank, a handsome crank. That really is his brand.
I think he was really good as old Indiana Jones. I didn't like that movie very much. I liked it fine. It's my least favorite Indiana Jones movie.
Sure.
But it was nice just seeing him. And he loves Indiana Jones. He loves playing Indiana Jones. It's the character who is not just a lunkhead and an attractive
Right.
guy. And unlike Han Solo, he's an intellectual.
Yeah.
He can teach a class. Yes. So that's Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's our history of Raiders of the Lost Ark. And now we shall move on to our discussion of the movie. Okay, this is a Paramount picture. Laci loves when I talk about studio logos. All the Indiana Jones movies open with the Paramount Mountain turning into something in the movie. And in Raiders of the Lost Ark, Spielberg told Frank Marshall, he's like, go find me a mountain on this damn island of Hawaii.
I gotta do the transition thingy with the mountain.
Or the island of Kauai. Sorry, not Hawaii. And they did. And that's what they did in every movie until the most recent one. Because the most recent one was a Disney picture. It opens with the fucking Disney castle.
So they transitioned to a different castle.
Right.
Okay. They were in
here we
Ireland.
are. Here we are in Liechtenstein.
Delicious.
Because, Lucasfilm was sold to Disney, so they didn't just buy Star Wars, they bought Indiana Jones.
And in my head, there was always an Indiana Jones ride, but maybe I'm thinking of Universal.
No, there is. But that was licensed. That was Disney purchased the license for the theme park, but they didn't own Indiana Jones, the character.
Okay. Now
Okay.
they own him.
Now they own him. So, yes, this is South America. The year is 1936. A mysterious man steps into frame. We see him only behind, but a team of, quote, natives, unquote, follows him.
Jesus. It's rough.
The title appears modestly, just Raiders of the Lost Ark. Harrison Ford isn't even above the title. It just,
Well, because they're saving him as a little surprise for some reason.
Harrison Ford's in this movie.
They do wait. for him to step into the light. I was wondering why.
And one of the coolest hero introductions ever, the way he just steps into frame from the shadows when the guy betrays him, pulls a gun on him, and he whips the gun away.
Whips his nene.
Yes. Here, let's just look at this GIF.
Oh, God, okay, but please stop it after it plays 3 times. It starts to break my brain.
You will notice I opened it in a new tab.
It doesn't mean you ever turn it off in time for me to stop. So it's for the melting to happen. My mind melts.
This isn't worth it. Okay.
I can picture it like it was yesterday.
But just Raiders of the Lost Ark, starring Harrison Ford. Indiana Jones, that's not in the title. This is just Raiders of the Lost Ark, okay? Despite what the package that the movie comes in tells you.
Well, they didn't know what they had. Little did they know, it's all about Harrison Ford.
I want to learn. I want to do some reading about that. What point did they decide that the sequel should have Indiana Jones in the title?
As soon as they went into theaters and everyone came out of it with a huge erection, including the men, and they all said, and then they're like, okay, got it. I mean, look at there's that from the history section. You showed us an advertisement of it. Mm-hmm. It's just him.
It's just him.
It's a giant him.
Yes, but like James Bond, it wasn't like the second James Bond was like James Bond and From Russia with Love. Just an interesting choice.
All right.
Truly never occurred to me until right now. Why did they change? Because George Lucas said everyone will be Raiders of the something. All right. Well, Alfred Molina plays Satipo.
All right.
His little guy who's afraid of spiders.
Oh, his little guy.
And they go into the cave, and there's a lot of tarantulas crawling around. Indiana Jones, he's not afraid of that shit,
I had to put down my salad.
Because of the tarantulas?
Blech. Yeah. One is fine, but all of them,
Yeah. Are you afraid of spiders?
no.
But you were bitten by a brown recluse in your
But
sleep.
I'm still not afraid of spiders.
And I am afraid of spiders. I hate them. But when I try to tell myself, no, it's a good bug. It's good. They're good. They do good work.
You do great work.
Good job. And I salute the spider. And they reach the booby-trapped room. They find the idol. There's the iconic swap of the
sand.
And he's just
Good.
so
He's
good with the way he takes the sand out of the bag. And
Right.
And I guess he's just trying to make his hand... He's trying to do something to his hand, like make it easier to grab, give himself more grip.
No.
Or is it literally just to... Tell me what it is.
It's because he didn't see it in person yet, and he realizes he put too much weight with the sand in the bag. He needs to make it less. It's got to equal the exact amount of the idol.
So he does that, and it looks like the coolest thing ever. I could never take something out of a bag that cool.
You could not.
No. And he trades it, and he thinks he got it, but no. The little thing goes, this is going to be a hard movie to describe, but you know this movie.
Then it starts to go. Anyway, he's in a room of booby traps, and he realizes he trapped a booby when he does that. Mm-hmm. And he's about to get boobed.
And his friend, Alfred Molina, betrays him. Won't throw him the whip bag. Now, are we to take from this that Alfred Molina was working for Belloc the whole time?
No, I mean, because, Indiana is not very nice to this man. This is clearly a local man he hired to help him get through here. This guy knows the language. He knows where to find these things. This guy's doing all the work, but this guy also knows the lore, knows the history of this place. This is a sacred place, or at least it's a cursed place. And he's like, please, I don't want to go in here. And Indiana's like, fuck you, come in. Indiana's fucking rude as shit to him the whole time, and has paid him enough to put him in this life-threatening situation. At the end of the day, this guy does not matter to Indiana. And so he's not really building a rapport, is what I'm saying. So as soon as this guy's like, all right, well, this fucking thing's real. I'm sure someone wants it. It's made of solid gold. I have a family. Mm-hmm. So he's like, that guy's dead. I already made it over the thingy.
Indy is in this world of treasure hunting, and that's the peril of hunting treasure with other people, is once you get the treasure, you're like, they're going to start doing some calculations like, I could just kill my friend and keep all the treasure.
It's not your friend. Also, this is why you need to be nice to the people you hire. Mm-hmm. One day you might need them to throw you the whip, and they won't.
Well, that guy dies, unfortunately.
Like fucking 1 foot away. Just like, yeah. I don't have any.
So Indy runs out of the cave with the idol. On there, he's met by the Jovitos, who are under the control of the villainous Belloc, played by Paul Freeman.
Wouldn't you say the boulder part is like the most iconic moment of movies?
The series,
yeah. But it's, when you look at it, it's like, just lay down.
It's pretty, well.
Lay down. There's a huge fucking gap. It starts from like on high. Just go. But my thought is, maybe it blocks the exit. Like, so you need to be ahead of it because maybe it clogs the cave entrance. That's the only thing. Otherwise, it's like, just lay down for a second.
Or like but who I wouldn't think of that. You gotta have a
Okay.
lot of confidence and like, oh, I'll just lay down and the boulder will. If a boulder comes toward me, I just run. I'm not thinking. And Indy doesn't always do the right thing. He's a very vulnerable character.
I like that about him.
It's a lot of luck. He has a lot of good luck, and he's
Yeah.
really good at a lot of stuff. But he also gets the shit beaten out of him, and he fails a lot.
Yeah, he's not the most masculine, most like skilled person in the room, but he's quick and he's on his feet.
And he
He
doesn't.
can improvise.
I think that in my memory, this is way more of a quippy movie than it is, and it's not quippy at all.
No.
Like when he says something like, when he gets trapped down in the tomb, and Belloc's like, "Maybe even you will become part of history." He just goes, "Son of a bitch," and it's like the best line of the movie that he delivers. But it's like all you said was "son of a bitch," but Harrison Ford said it so well and so funny. But it's like a lame kind of. It's not a clever line or
Well,
anything.
so, but that's your example how this isn't quippy.
Yes.
Why?
That to me is like the most quippy he gets in the entire movie.
yeah, for sure.
And it's like kind of lame.
It's relatable and kind of dad jokey.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, Belloc, played by Paul Freeman, corners him, takes the idol from him. Paul Freeman, this time I think like I was just in awe of this performance. I've always liked it, but like I guess I never really was tapped into how squirmy, but also like he's actually kind of conflicted about what he's doing.
Yes. Oh, really? Because I think, I mean, at the core of him is probably a not very scrupulous person. I'm using the word wrong. There's more bad in him than good, but they're still good.
Well, I think that I realized like he is an actual true believer in the importance of the work that he's doing.
Yeah, but
and that will make him do bad things. But I think I used to think like he's on the Nazi side and he just wants to get rich. But even at the end of the movie, when the Ark opens and he's about to die, he's just like, it's beautiful.
True.
And I think that he thinks that he and Indy are like compadres. Like, yeah, you'll fuck over me, I'll fuck over you. We'll do this all day.
It's like Batman and Robin in the Lego movie.
Batman and Robin in the Lego movie.
Batman and the other guy.
And the Joker.
The Joker. You know, they have that whole moment of like, but you're my
And-
counterpart guy.
Yes, and the Joker in the Dark Knight. We're destined to do this forever, you and I.
It's
But
a one-sided relationship, though.
Yes.
Indy's just annoyed with you.
Right. I think that the way I was thinking of it was later in the movie when they're in the bar.
Mm-hmm.
I think Belloc thinks that they're like attorneys on the opposite side of a court case. But like after the day, they go and have a drink in the bar. Like that's what he wants the relationship to be.
Right.
Belloc. But Indy's like, no, this is personal.
Belloc finally found someone who likes his literally arcane interests. Like no one else likes this nerd shit and then likes to get rowdy about it. So you know he's found his equal, and Indy's like, I just want to. They gave me $2,000. I'm running out of money here. I just need to get the thingy to the museum, please. And he's not trying to make friends.
No.
And that's a little, sorry, Belloc.
He's like every reality show contestant. He didn't come here to make friends. So Indiana, then we follow him back to his day job at school, where he lectures a classroom full of female college students.
I pointed this out. It's 1932 or 1934.
36.
There you go. What college has this many female attendees in 1936?
I don't know.
I would like to fucking know.
Yeah, because it is a
archaeology.
co-ed school. It's not
Yeah.
like this is a women's college.
It'd be creepy.
This isn't Wellesley or whatever. I don't know. What? Okay,
just-
IMDb goofs. The gender ratio is off.
Or they all just know to take this class because women just want to get married after all, even if they're just in college.
Wouldn't you though? Harrison Ford, very good as a professor. I love that. Like this is what he actually loves to do. He loves. It's in Last Crusade where he says like archaeology is done in the library. It's done by reading books. It's not done out in the field. And I think he believes that.
Yeah. He just doesn't like it when the periodicals are missing from the library, so he goes on an adventure to get them. I need the microfiche.
It belongs in my library.
Exactly.
Marcus Brody, played by Denholm Elliott, is like his sponsor and confidant, and he owns the museum and he finances Indy's journeys. And I think it's pretty odd that this is a totally original screenplay, and this man's name is so similar to the man who was the protagonist of Steven Spielberg's earlier movie Jaws.
Say the two names.
Martin Brody is from Jaws. Marcus Brody is
That is odd.
this movie, and they knew that and yet didn't change it.
That is Okie dokie. And this is Rook Skytalker.
Yeah, exactly. Like it doesn't seem like it's a reference. It doesn't seem
No.
like this is a cheeky little joke.
Or is he the shark? Just kidding.
He enters and he's like, I brought some army intelligence agents to talk with you.
Though, like, I guess it's hard for you to watch with fresh eyes, but like the whole time I'm waiting for him to double cross him. There's some double cross vibes happening in everyone that Eddie deals with. I'm also waiting for Shala farts for Sala to do it too. And then there's even it's just the role he's in.
Yeah.
You don't know who's a true believer and who's doing it for nefarious reasons or reasons they're not putting on the table. And I say true believer, and that's funny too, because even Indiana isn't a true believer in the sense that he cares very much about these religious artifacts, but he doesn't care for it in the way that people who are in the religion and believe in the religion do. So there's so many conflicting interests. And that is a lot to keep track of if you think you're supposed to keep track of it.
It is, you're right, because it is like Belloc at the end, like Indy cares about the history. He cares about the history. He doesn't believe this is important because it's history. It's not important because it's a tool of God.
Right.
But at the end of the movie, it seems like Belloc actually believes this is a tool of God. And Brody
Right.
seems to believe this might be a tool of God. And Indy's like, oh, it's a bunch of hocus pocus mumbo jumbo. So yes, you're right. It is a lot to track.
Well, there's all that, and then you put fucking the Nazis on it in a war. And then and now I'm also having to keep track of like who has military interests and but who has like regime interests. Like I don't know. Like,
and you need to know that like, okay, so this is 36. The war doesn't start till 39. So like at this point, they're just kind of like adversaries.
ready.
Like are we friends? Are we enemies? What are we doing here?
being stinkers. Yeah, but they obviously know like it's not cool that Hitler's going around all these different religious sites and like trying to dig up as many artifacts as he can. That is a red flag, my friend. When someone starts to take your country's antiquities, you're next. Do not get on a train.
Yeah, who would ever do that? Oh, all European countries. And that's the other thing. Like this movie, I think, has a little bit of commentary on colonialism and the way we just go into other countries and take all their stuff.
It is colonialism, the movie. I mean, it does. There were many moments of that. Like, we're just going to another brown country, another one. And let me put all you guys in danger. Let me fuck up your little shop you've got here. And
like, yeah, I think the movie is aware, like, yeah, we're just destroying these like people in Egypt, their homes. We're just driving through like the pylons that hold up their.
They're literally cosplaying in every single situation they're in. Well, now we're here. We need a costume change. They have so many random reasons for Marion to change her clothes. And it's like, well, now we're here and she looked great in this cotton cloth. And I don't know. She does change her clothes a lot for an adventure movie.
Like he
does too.
He's going to get the Ark of the Covenant for Brody's museum in America, not for the Egyptian museum. Though, of course, I think Egypt at the time was still under control of the United Kingdom, so literal colonialism. But it's not like, yeah, or we'll put it in the Jewish museum in Jerusalem or whatever.
So it's hard to know, right? Because it's so important for Indiana's character that these things are protected and preserved. I don't get the sense that he cares like because it's for the glory of the United States to have the most impressive artifacts in one place, or if they're going to Britain or whatever it is. I think for him it's like, I need a safe, trusted place that has a high enough security that I didn't just go to all this effort to get this thing and it be stolen in some kind of way or fire or whatever. So I could buy that he's not trying to do it for the glory of the West.
Not for patriotic reasons.
No, he just wants he's what is the word I'm looking for? Pragmatic.
Mm-hmm. That's why I love Belloc's calls his bluff at the end of the movie. Like, you're not going to blow this up. You want to, even if it means that we kill you, you want to see this thing open. Even if it means Nazis own this, you're still like, your life has been leading to finding out what's in this Ark.
That's even a little more selfish than he is. He literally just is true to his beliefs from start to finish. Even he doesn't have personal valid enough reasons to destroy the thing that he's already said is important to preserve. That was a long way of saying that.
I liked it.
Oh, good.
These guys, these army intelligence officers, they're saying Hitler and the Nazis, they're fascinated by the occult. This is a widely held belief that I think
Did it come from this movie?
I think no. So apparently, I did a little bit of research on this. After World War II, the myth of Nazis being obsessed with witchcraft and mythology really took off, and it doesn't seem to be actually based in much.
Just because they're not Christians, right? Like they're
But
thought
they are
to be
Christians.
but because of all that they did, they have to be like, no, but they're dark
We
Christians.
have to other them.
They have to other them. Yeah.
Like certainly fascism is very based in sort of mythologizing your own race, race in quotes, because race is not real.
Not a thing, right?
And the glorious history of the Aryan and the Nordic people and the ancient ancestors of the Germans. And I think that it's easy to like leap from that to like, and also we believe in like this Celtic pagan weird witchcraft sort of belief, but like that doesn't seem to have actually been a real thing.
No, it definitely just seems more like something where Christians in the West would be like, well, he's bad, so he's obviously not our kind of Christian. And then you can just dogpile after that. And famously, he's like a vegetarian artist and writer. He's not a witch.
Hitler personally, like I think might have been an atheist or might have been I think he was an opportunist. But
Yeah.
certainly most Nazis were Christians, were Lutherans
Yeah.
or Catholics. So this movie is Raiders of the Lost Ark, and now we are introduced to the Lost Ark. Certainly, before I saw this movie, I assumed they meant like Noah's Ark. And
Yeah.
I think they never explain, like you say ark
is
to
an
most people
ark?
and
Yeah.
they're like, oh, that's a boat. And I looked it up on Wikipedia. Does ark mainly refer to a chest? No, mainly refers to a boat. Except this time. Except this time, it's the Ark of the Covenant.
You don't know they don't use that as a boat.
True. I mean, yeah, any port in a storm. So,
Any boat in a port.
but it's a testament to this movie that you're like, yeah, that's just what it's called. And
Yeah.
I accept it. Raiders of the Lost Ark. Gotta go find that ark. We'll do it by searching out Mr. Ravenwood. He was my beloved best friend, but we fell out 10 years ago for mysterious reasons that we will find out about 5 minutes from now.
Well, then change the slide, my guy, because I'm like, don't give me a visual aid. Don't do it.
I love that first he gets on a TWA Trans World Airlines plane that is just this tiny propeller plane in the water.
It looks comfortable though.
But it looks really luxurious inside, and that's what plane travel was at the time.
I know, it's got curtains that you do this. They're fabric.
And he flies to Nepal. Okay, and we finally
Which makes
meet.
me think of something about Mary because she loves Nepal and Nepalese coins.
Does she?
I don't know.
Will we cover There's Something About Mary on the show one day?
I could see it happening. It's not one of my movies, but it certainly was such a like iconic moment of the 90s. So it seems like it.
All right, we finally meet Marion, Karen Allen at the Raven in Nepal. Tell us about it.
Okay, but like, okay, so it's a bar I want to visit, but it's kind of rough, very I don't know, very of that town. I don't know. It looks like it's been there for hundreds of years, and it's just what I thought were two women, but two people having a drinking contest to see who can like stay upright, and whoever drinks the most and stays upright wins. But the amount of alcohol these two people are consuming is insane. You know, one of them actually falls out. So the person that wins is the owner, but you can tell she doesn't fuck around because as soon as she collects the money, she gets everybody out of there. And, you know, she's a she knows the town she's in, and she's a hard ass. But then she sees this guy who clearly was a love interest of her, and it's Harrison Ford. And she's so drunk. And I can't but she's not really acting drunk. She's acting a little wild. But the whole time, it's just like if I know someone didn't sleep that night in the movie's reality, or if I know they're hungover, there's something about it that like fucks up that time for me because I'm like, I feel hungover. I feel drunk. Would I want to run into like the biggest deal relationship ex that I have in this condition? No.
But she's drunk so often, like lots of people who are drunk all the time, what they do is when they're drunk is act like they're not drunk, but they're little tells. Let's back up. What do you think about this performance? You don't like Princess Leia. I feel like
I love this performance.
Okay. I feel like this is, and I think she is superior to Carrie Fisher. This is one of my favorite performances ever. Karen Allen in this movie. I love her so much.
She's just such a fully formed I know this person. It's so organic. It's so, what's the word? Real?
It's so real.
Authentic. That was the word I was looking for. Oh God. Okay. And then we meet. There's just so many random henchmen that don't look like they have anything to do with like the cities that they're in. I just feel like the casting was all over the fucking place. But you don't know. Maybe these are people they hired there. Maybe they're people that they bring along for their journey. These German people. We meet the Germans for the first time. Yes. In this scene,
we got a shot of Toth, whose name is never actually spoken in the movie, I don't think, but the German with the hat, the weird
the guy that looks like the bad guy from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. The one time I'm going to say the whole name and you say the short name. How dare you?
Note it for the record.
This guy is so he makes me so uncomfortable. The laughing never seems to stop, but he manages to talk on top of it. There's this like, hey, I'm talking. It is fucking wild, and it is very effective. I am terrified of this man.
How about a drink for you and your men? We are not thirsty.
All right, sorry. Okay, Indiana busts in the bar. They have a back and forth. You realize they have a past. He needs the little freaking medallion that goes on top of the stick that shows where they need to dig to find the ark. He worked with her dad, so he finds out that the dad passed away, but she's still here, and she's like, yeah, I know of it. And he's like, here's some money. And she's like, come back later, come back tomorrow. She's finally got the control back, right? So she sends him away, and then
can I stop you? So I love this little exchange. I think it is like just primo example of how to dump exposition in a fun way with such economy. So we learn, okay, she said, I was a child. I was a child. He said, you knew what you were doing. Okay.
Gross.
Karen Allen at this point is 29. This was 10 years ago. So she would have been 19 and Harrison Ford would have been
29.
Yeah. So like, yeah, that's
there's a 10-year age difference. Okay.
But that's not like a criminal difference.
Sure,
and
no,
it's not,
but you don't know that. The math isn't done for you, so it's off-putting. But yeah, you get over
it. I think in 1981, when she says I was a child, we are not supposed to like get like super
not at all.
sex predator red flag.
I know that.
But then he's like, you know what you were doing. Okay, I was tired of chasing Abner all around the world on his treasure hunts. Abner's dead, and we realize, okay, so she's stuck here because
this is
where he died. She doesn't have it. Like, she's making enough money to survive here, but not enough to get home. He says, "I'll give you $3,000," and she says, that's enough to get me home, but not in style.
Right?
Like, that's what she actually wants. I just want to get back to America.
Yeah, but like you also get the sense that she didn't really get to create roots, right? She was just brought along for all these different treasure hunts, collecting junk. That didn't mean anything to her. It meant something to him, and because of that, she didn't get to have a real life. And because Indiana was his apprentice, this is the person that was in her life the most, other than her own dad. And then they both abandoned her. Mm-hmm. I'd be fucking pissed too.
Yeah, but. Hey, I didn't mean to end up here, but look, I'm the fucking queen of Nepal with this bar. Like so she's super resourceful.
Absolutely. And he did not have means. He could travel the world. So he did buy her a bar, I'm sure, the dad. And also he died here because he knew the City of Souls was here. Is that the city they dug up?
That's in Egypt. They're in Nepal right here.
Oh. Well, what the fuck's he doing in Nepal?
She's in Nepal.
But why did he die there?
He must have been hunting some Nepalese treasure. There's treasure everywhere.
Oh.
In the Himalayas.
Sorry.
And she's like, of all the places to get stuck, but I'll make the best of it.
Anyway, she pretends that she's like, yeah, I know the medallion you mean. It turns out she's got it she's wearing it. Like, but she doesn't tell him that. She puts it on the table. She's very drunk. And then the Germans come in after he leaves and she's already taken it off of her person. So now she's kind of got to avoid that table before someone realizes that the thing they're here to kill me for is right there on that table.
Mm-hmm. I love they start shooting. They shoot a barrel of whiskey and the whiskey starts pouring out. And right before she drinks some from the spout. I love it. It's just such a good little Spielberg touch.
Unapologetic alcoholic. She's always asking for a drink.
But it's also just a charming, fun thing to have a character do. And
I mean, the whole movie though, like that is part of her person.
But not as a defect. It's not as this fucking drunk.
Yeah.
It's something that makes her cool.
I don't know that makes her cool. I think it's just part of her.
To me.
Okay. Loser.
You know what? We do see both Indy and Marion kill Nazis with guns. They shoot both. They both shoot a Nazi
This
dead.
is a movie not afraid of violence and blood and there. Yeah. Well, anyway, okay. So she distracts them long enough. Indy comes in and the scary German man notices the medallion, but he's also set her restaurant on fire, her bar on fire. So the medallion's been cooking in fire, and he grabs it and it sears into his hand, and he runs out crying like a little bitch and puts his hand in the snow, just like Home Alone. And so that happened, but they get the medallion back. So the next thing we know is just that Indy and her are in possession of it, and they're on their way to Cairo.
Yeah, that's the next step of our journey. This is where we will find out
on to
where the Ark is hidden. And then we meet Salah John Rhys Davies, who you seem to think is a fine fella.
I really liked him. Yes, he just seems so helpful, so jovial, having so many kids and a monkey that's not theirs.
He's the best digger in Cairo, and the Nazis have hired him, but he helpfully tells us right here they're paying pennies.
They hired everyone, right?
Yeah,
they didn't
treat
just
us
hire
like
me.
shit.
Right. Oh, you know, I kind of forgot this point. Like, I was like, what are they doing just fucking going on this dig site like they own the place? He already works there. Like, I forgot. I wasn't thinking that whenever they do it.
And he's in like some sort of supervisor position. So
yeah.
And that all, but like later when all the people in all the Egyptians are like cheering that the Nazis are getting their asses beaten, you're like, why are they cheering? It's like, oh, because they've been mistreated by them at the job site.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean that plan where he just pulls his car into a place that they immediately cover up to make it look like a market. I was just like, wait, they don't have cell phones, they have walkie-talkies. How do they coordinate this shit? But that bothered me and not you. Okay, so I mean, he's fucking Aladdin, right? Any fucking not, and I'm talking about Indiana Jones here. Like any place he finds himself, he's in trouble. I don't know. He's an outlaw. He just keeps finding himself in fights.
He does.
This whole movie is just him getting in little skirmishes.
Well, at this point, Salah's like, I know a man who can translate the shit from the medallion.
Oh, right.
But we gotta wait for some reason. So Indy, Marion, you guys go kill time. They appear to just be like taking in the sights.
Yeah.
Indy and Marion walking together. I want to say this about John Rhys Davies. This is an iconic role for him. Later in life, he played Gimli in the Lord of the Rings movie, so he has 2 giant roles. He is a huge piece of shit in real life.
Oh.
Despite playing a Muslim man in this movie, he's a very outspoken anti-Islam. He's an Islamophobe. He's a British man who talks a lot about how bad it is that Muslims come to Britain.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So he sucks. We like the performance, dislike the actor. Dislike the person.
Thank you for letting me know.
Indy and Marion go through the streets. Yeah.
And then probably the funniest moment of the whole movie, which was improvised, right? Or at least it was Harrison Ford's idea because he was tired.
I think it was due to they didn't have enough time to do the big choreographed fight when the swordsman. And it's so great that Indy pulls out the gun and shoots him because the reason everybody laughs is like, oh right, we knew he had a gun, we just forgot. We haven't seen his gun in just long enough that when he pulls it out, you're not like, that's cheating.
There's so many times in these movies where it's someone who's like always getting into these adventures, that there's some sort of gentleman's agreement, some sort of understanding. I'm going to meet this person where their weaponry is. If they want fisticuffs, we fisticuff. If they have a knife, I'll find something pointy. Like it's refreshing when someone's just like, I'm just going to use I have a gun. So rock, paper, scissors, I win.
It's wonderful. I mean, you could certainly read it as like, this is the West and the advanced technology of the West destroying the primitive.
Yeah. But it's not like they don't have guns here too.
Right. But Marion gets captured by the Nazis / their Egyptian proxies, and she gets into a basket to hide, but then they find out that she's in the basket and they pick her up.
Because of this stupid monkey. It's very upsetting. I've never been more mad at a monkey. When it's screeching on top of the basket and she's trying to, and I'm just, I hate that monkey's a bad monkey.
And Laci gets mad at a lot of monkeys, but I've rarely seen this level of vitriol to a simian.
Well, it was such a sweet little thing that they had, and they were calling it their baby, and it was a little icebreaker between her and Indy, and then it turned out to be an evil monkey.
You know what I love is once he thinks that Marion is dead, he still takes care of the monkey. The monkey goes to the bar with him.
It reminds her of him, even though he doesn't realize the monkey's a spy.
But that's not the monkey's fault.
Fine.
Sorry, I made a GIF, but it's not loading.
Please stop trying.
I will.
It's very distracting.
I just wanted to show you this shot because it's like, it's just so indicative of what Spielberg is so good at.
Is it beams of light?
No.
Is it a divorce?
He tried to work in a divorce. I mean, Indy and Marion are kind of divorced. So yeah, Indy knows that she's been taken, that she's in a basket. He's trying to chase, but they're getting away from him, and then, stumbles onto the bazaar where there's a bunch of baskets. And just the way Spielberg shoots Harrison Ford figuring this out is like why he's so good. Does little simple things with the camera that you don't necessarily notice, but when you really figure out what he's doing, like that's why this is better than what other filmmakers would do. Okay, so
that up
he
close.
looks, instead of cutting to the rest of the bazaar, we pull out and now follow him figuring it out.
Right.
And we learn with him.
And this is just rude. All these people's laundry.
Yeah.
It's just upsetting.
To normal filmmakers, it would just be Harrison Ford's face, then cut to what he's seeing, but instead spin around with him. And it's like much more horrifying to realize it that way. But Marion, he thinks Marion's dead because she gets in a truck that blows up. We don't see her get out of it, but she's fine.
But Salah really accepts like it's really spread around town fast. He's like, Marion's dead. I know. And
Yes, I know. I heard.
Life goes on. Like, what?
Life goes on, Indy.
Fucking dick. Okay. After you use your kids as human shields, rude.
He takes his best friend Monkey, who reminds him of Marion. That's sweet.
Marion the monkey.
To the bar, gets really shit-faced, and then Belloc invites him in to have a drink. And this is where I realized the lawyer thing. Like, Belloc's like, no, we're like, well, you get it though, dude, right? Like, yeah, I'm French, you're American, I want the thing, you want the thing, I'll kill you, you'll kill me, but we couldn't break bread together, right? And Indy, he's not having any of it. And he's like, you want to meet God? I'll introduce you to him right now, motherfuck. And he's about to pull out his gun to shoot him dead, but then all the Salah's kids run in and save him. And this bothered you.
Oh, no, it works. It's funny. It's a funny thing to do, but the reality of it, if this were to really happen, I'd be like, bad father.
It is a bad father. You
Bad
shouldn't
father
do that.
move. Yeah. And it's not just one of his kids, his least favorite, all of them.
It's all. He might, yeah. We finally, it's time to go visit the man who can interpret the medallion. I don't know what was taking so long, but now it's time.
He's in the shitter.
And it takes a while. Yeah.
He's old.
We Salah brings Indy over there. This guy can interpret the markings, and also we see that one of the evil Arab men snuck in and poisoned the dates. So we know that, but Indy doesn't know that. It's classic dramatic tension. We know something that Indy doesn't know, and he's about to eat this date. So what we learn is, here's the thing about this medallion. This medallion tells you...
Well, they walk in, though, giving you some exposition that doesn't feel too XP, saying, like, how on earth could they build a replica? There's nothing that looks like it. It's not written down anywhere. How could they have engineered something that does the same thing? Because it's baked into the man's hand.
Right. We don't find that out till later,
Right.
but yeah, that's why.
But here's why he should have sandwiched it instead of...
Because
grabbing
here,
it.
there's more inscriptions on the back of the medallion.
It was booby trapped for someone who thought they would bake it into their hand.
Right.
Think again.
Yeah, it's like build the staff 7 carams or whatever tall, but then, oh wait, take away 1 caram to honor God on the 6th day.
I didn't hear the last part. I just knew the takeaway.
Okay, so this reminded me, I recently had the misfortune of going fishing with my dad and his friend is like a real fisherman, and he thought that I wanted a lot of fishing lessons that I didn't want.
Oh.
So he's like, you want to learn how to put on fishing hook on the fishing line? I'm like, yes. Because this is a tiny little boat. What am I supposed to do? But I'm like, I'm 37 years old. I don't want to learn anything, please. But no, he's going to teach me. And he's like, here, you put the line through. Okay, give me a little twist. And he's like doing it right in front of me. And I have to do it perfectly for him or he's going to make me start over. And I just want this to end. And he's like, now, here's what you want to do. You want to spin it. A lot of people say 6 times, but I tell my grandkids, you spin it 7 times because God created the world in 7 days. And we do this to honor God. So go ahead and spin 7 times. And I'm not able to spin adequately, but he's like, okay, 1.
Oh, God,
2,
Matt.
7 for God, 7 for
Oh,
God.
God.
Okay. Yes, that was like the medallion. See, when you build the staff of Ra, build it 6 cadams high.
Got it.
To
Now
honor
I'll
God.
always remember.
Thank you.
I didn't understand.
The staff of Ra, you put it in one chamber and the sun shines through it and it'll show you the
In
location.
the map room, Matt. That's the map room.
The map room. The map room. and that will show you the location of the Well of Souls where the Ark of the Covenant is hidden. This is only paying close attention to the movie did I realize, like in the past, I've been like, the map room shows you to just dig right here in the most obvious place in the world, in the temple. I'm like, oh wait, but the temple's not there anymore. The temple would have been there 5,000 years ago. I got it.
Wait, it's still a city, and you can put it anywhere. And as we see, they barely buried it. Like, it takes them 5 minutes to get it. But
that's not true. It takes all day. There's a little montage of Indy kind of pacing around in the sun.
Well, he didn't get dirty. So it's helpful to know right where to dig. It's a city. It's in the middle of a city. It's this big.
I was wrong, I'm saying. It was dumb of me. Okay. We figure it out. Great. Now we know where the Well of Souls is. Sala, get a bunch of people to leave their job and come do this satellite job and hope that the Nazis don't notice. But of course they do. And they start digging, and then boom, bada boom, bada bum. There's the Well of the Souls. We found it. Also, we figure out, India earlier figured out Marion's still alive. He stumbled into her tent. She's being held hostage, and he's going to set her free, and then decides, no, I can't set you free. Because
it's about something bigger than that, right? I'm here for this. You seem to be taken care of fine. You like when you're tied up, and so I will be right back. Bollock's a pussycat.
If I untie you, if I set you free, they'll know I'm here.
Right.
And
not that you're a resourceful woman.
But yeah, it is the worst thing he does in the movie.
I don't take offense. He's right. We're not here just to like rekindle this relationship where we've already involved all these fucking people. We've put 9 kids in danger and a monkey. So like, let's just go do the thing we're going to do. Your father would want it this way, Marion.
But she does. I mean, okay, fine.
She didn't love it.
And
she's never going to be the most important thing to him. That's never going to be the case.
Right. And that's why we
just like the Mummy movies. He does a creepy thing by buying a dress for her and insisting that she put it on. And she knows men. She works in a bar. She's raised by her dad. Like she acts the way all of us did before Me Too, which is like, all right, okay, no, this is fucking creepy. But maybe if I give you this inch, you won't take a mile later. I'll put the dress on. It's just like, I'm not going to push back on this thing because maybe this will give me grace later. And I love that she's got a mouthful of bread because she's starved. It's beautiful. That's a good line.
He says, I'd very much like to see you in it. Just a pressure word.
Prior word, Bob. Yeah, she's been around the. She fucking knows, and that's what I'm saying. You can see she quickly does that calculation of like, no, I know this kind of guy. He needs some control. Let me give him this thing I'm willing to do instead of sucking his dick later. Mm-hmm. And then that's what we had a drink in this place because she's going to use her superpower, which is drinking somebody under the table, or at least getting someone more intoxicated than she's capable of being because she's broken.
Without realizing, actually, he has even more alcohol superpowers than she does because he's French. Because I grew up on this stuff. It's my family's private label.
And then they really are like truly laughing at each other and enjoying each other. I like that. And then she does something unintentionally very wise, which is as she's like leaving him and be like, haha, I really am leaving. Sorry. But I like you under different circumstances. We could, she's saying all this stuff and she's actually genuinely being nice to him.
She means it, yeah.
She means it. And then she gets, and then Nazi. Churtle Myrtle, where the fuck? I don't know that guy.
Good evening, Fraulein.
And then she runs behind the guy she was just threatening.
Yeah.
For protection, which I think is also very relatable.
Paul Freeman and Karen Allen apparently worked all this out on their own. They're like, we need to zhuzh up this scene a little bit. Let's figure this out. Let's have a lot more fun. We'll do a lot more laughing. We really enjoy each other in this drinking contest. It's one of my favorite scenes of the movie.
And I like that he gets to be torn about the danger she ends up in a couple times. Like he does seem to want to date her or, likes her. He doesn't want her to die, but
like he'd make her suck his dick, but classily.
Like he'd buy her another dress.
Yeah. And he wouldn't think it's wrong.
He's French.
Like, yeah, I'm keeping you captive, but like, I'm nice about it. So, yeah, and we don't actually see what sort of fucked up interrogation they do of her because Toth comes in and there's the famous coat hanger gag.
Oh, yeah.
But then we don't actually see what kind of their whole thing is like. We're digging in the wrong site. Maybe Marion knows where the right site is to dig because she's had the medallion for so long. Okay, we have ways of making her talk, but we don't see what those are because the next time we see Belloc and the Nazis, it's like the next morning and they're like,
But she didn't talk. She had nothing
right
to say, really.
And then he just notices, there's a lot of guys digging at a site that we didn't tell them to dig at. Maybe that's where.
Bring Marion.
Yeah.
They don't like it. It is much like a Bond movie or Star Wars, I guess. They don't ever want to just kill the people they're so sick of having to catch. Let's just throw you in a hole. That's more creative.
Is that a problem for you? I mean, like, when that happens in a movie, does it annoy you?
It's a trope.
Are you like Scott Evil? I have a gun in my room.
I don't know. I do wish they'd sometimes have like sometimes movies give you at least a little bit of like a stroke of, we know you're smart, by saying, you still have something I need. I'll get to you in a second, or just some kind of, but it's fine. It's fine. Whatever. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Not have a movie? Okay.
Exactly.
So let's
we need a movie. We need a movie.
We need a movie.
In the Well of Souls, there's a lot of big statues of Anubis and then lots of snakes. Why did it have to be snakes? Indiana Jones asks. He's very afraid
Steven
of
Spielberg paid for. That's why, Andy. It's not that many snakes when you're looking at it from up here.
I know. It's the expected amount of snakes in a tomb. But then Sala looks down. Asps, very dangerous. You go first. Now, I recently realized I watched Young Frankenstein, which is 7 years older than this movie, and that movie has that joke in it. So Raiders of the Lost Ark ripped you off. Marty Feldman in that movie makes the same joke. But then again, these are not just asps. These are all kinds of snakes.
Yeah.
Idiot.
I saw a viper in there, and also one of those ones with hair.
Yeah.
It's not hair.
One of those hairy snakes.
No, like the one that looks like he's got like a coif. What am I trying to say?
And then the ones with sunglasses. I don't know what you're talking about.
One that's got like a big...
A king cobra?
Yeah.
You mean the one in the picture that we're looking at?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. Okay.
Because he's got a crown. That's why it's a king.
That's right.
That makes sense.
And, I don't think they actually do much with Indy being scared of snakes. Because, how does he behave any differently than he otherwise would have?
No.
It's just supposed to be more tense because we know he's afraid?
Otherwise, it's just too easy for him to climb a thingy and then go out a hole. I mean, it is disgusting. This movie is gross.
Yeah.
This is another... I'm okay with the snakes in piles. They're very dusty. But when they start coming out of the holes in the wall, I'm like... Because it just reminds me of roaches. That's all. I'm not scared of snakes.
A lot of anything. Like, if you watch those videos of, like, a roof, a panel of roof being peeled off and bats coming out...
No. I don't like an infestation of any kind. Please do not give any more examples. Fuck, gross.
Snakes in general, though, are you afraid of them?
I just said I'm not. No, I'm not.
Snakes in general, though, are you afraid of them? So they go down, they find the Ark, and Sala helps him carry it. I think the movie does a really good job at this point of making you impressed with the history of this thing that they pull out. Or not.
They throw Marion down the hole. Are we there yet?
Not just... Okay, fine.
Okay, fine, sorry.
But they finally... They hoist the Ark back up. Sala goes back up and he's like, all right, time to get out and get back to America with my new find. And then Belloc shows up. He's like, Indiana Jones. Belloc's always there to take what Indy does all the work.
It's got great timing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then he's like, oh, thank you for digging this up for me.
Well, if you disturb him, he won't do all the work.
And then the Nazis just push Marion down into the tomb with him.
Just throw him. It's a big ass hole.
And then they close them in. And Marion sees the snakes and immediately climbs onto Indy's back. And you were laughing pretty heartily.
Because it's just, that looks improvised too. It's just such a very fucking human way.
Yeah, it's not graceful.
At all. She doesn't look cute. He doesn't look cute, but it's adorable. It's so fucking cute. Oh my God.
And
she's in a fucking dress. She was in a perfectly reasonable outfit. And then he gets saucy with her. How'd you get that? Rape, my friend.
Yeah. You've been busy, Marion.
Jesus. Way to not understand the dynamics here.
The scene, we were looking at this screenshot of Indy, like right in front of a king cobra. Famously, there's some acrylic panel between them that was digitally removed. So Steven Spielberg, you said that you stopped doing this with E.T., stopped touching up your films digitally, but you're still doing it, motherfucker. Release the acrylic panel cut, I'm saying, of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
It was never meant to be seen, the acrylic.
You could see it in theaters in 1981.
No, this is a special effect.
I said,
No.
okay, but you could
No.
see it. And he's like, oh, you could see it in 4K. So we need to remove it.
He is preserving the art by making it be seen as it was intended to be seen. He filmed it not knowing the future of filming and understanding what 4K is. He's keeping it correct by you not seeing the fucking strings being pulled.
That's certainly what he says. I don't know.
It doesn't make
I don't know if I
Matt.
agree with that.
That's so fucking stupid. If some weird technology came out where they could extend the footage of anything ever recorded by 1 inch on either side, you're saying that it would be fair for things that no one could have known to prepare for and to not get things out of the way, that we should get to see what's on those two extras.
No.
People picking their
I'm
nose.
saying on VHS, you could see the panel.
Oh, I didn't mean to get so heated. Are you sure?
Yes. You can go look it on YouTube. Look at the footage. You can very clearly see the panel.
But we're supposed to pretend it's not there though, right? We don't think that he's in an aquarium. Okay.
But that's just why this question is interesting. At what point do you stop? You're like, okay, it seems reasonable. Yeah, take it out because you didn't know we'd have such high resolution footage.
You just said VHS, you could see it.
Yeah.
So he knew that.
Yes. So extend it further. At what point are we? At what point
he
is
was
it too much?
allowing it on VHS, so that means he wanted to allow it in general. So
No,
he
'cause
shouldn't have got rid of
during
it.
the VHS era, he didn't have the technology to digitally remove it. They didn't have good enough computers.
I'm tapping out.
Okay.
Okay.
They escape the tomb. It's pretty easy to escape the tomb.
Yeah,
You
just you knock
fall a statue
you knock a thing into a thing.
If you go to Egypt right now, can you go in a pyramid?
Yeah, I heard they're gross.
Okay.
Like a lot of trash. Like people just throw it's a tourist trap and people just throw trash. Like it's
in the pyramid.
Oh, I don't know. But I did hear that the Egyptian pyramids are underwhelming because you think they're going to, they are photographed in a way. And the reality is just this is just, it's a city street, only it's sand. It's a base, people are coming and going. No one's cleaning it up. It's a big place.
I felt that way when I saw the Alamo because the Alamo's in downtown San Antonio with KFCs and stuff.
I kept passing it by and I'm like, is this a statue of the Alamo? Or this is the Alamo?
No, ma'am, that's the Alamo.
Felt the same way. I didn't go with you. This is a separate adventure and my own thoughts.
That's why we're soulmates.
Ew.
So there's a plane chase or a plane fight and a car chase because they got to get that ark. They're loading that ark on the plane. So Indy fights with a big Nazi and fights with a littler Nazi, and Marion climbs on the plane and makes it move. Mm-hmm. What do you think of all of this? I
love that she's scrappy and resourceful enough to get into shit, but not to get out of it. So it is a common Marion thing. You're just like, oh, just fucking get out of here. Andy! Jones! Indiana! Saying his name different ways is going to make him more likely to come get you. I like it. I mean, the whole the tension with the propeller, you're like, okay, someone's going to get in the propeller. Mm-hmm. Someone's got to get in it. Is it going to be Indiana Jones? Doubt it.
Good action filmmaking that you're able to track that, and you see the plane was stationary until she moved the little peg out of the way of the wheel.
Which she should have. That was helpful.
And then
she starts killing people with a fucking machine gun. I like that. Mm-hmm. That's smart.
But Indy gets the shit beaten out of him right here by the big Nazi. He's not invulnerable. He's not even that good of a.
Half of his luck is luck.
The other half?
Luck.
And then the car chase, because they put the ark in a truck, so he's going to chase it. How are you going to do that, Indy? I don't know. I'm making it up as I go.
I like that line.
And he gets on a horse. Where did he get the horse? I don't know.
He made it up. He imagined it.
So, yes, big car chase. Roger Ebert called this the best car chase in cinema history. Laci complained that there's too many different kinds of terrain.
You said it's on purpose, so okay, I accept that. If it's intentional, then fine.
Well, then I looked up where they filmed this. They filmed this in Nefta, Tunisia, which is an oasis. This is what the terrain really is there. You go from desert to jungle.
I thought oases were a thing because they don't exist, but I think I'm thinking of mirages.
Right.
Oops.
Yeah, oasis just means some water in the water and plants in the middle of a desert.
And a wonder wall.
And what's the story? Morning Glory.
Okay.
The Nazis, they're not real happy that Indiana Jones beat them by outrunning them in their car because he got the ark. So they go back to town. The Egyptians give them watermelons and stuff, and Dietrich, one of the Nazis, is so angry he just takes the watermelon and throws it out of the car. I love it. He's so angry. And then they leave, and all the Egyptians clap.
Yay!
Because they were bad bosses.
Bad.
And so Indy and Marion get on a boat, piloted by
sexy.
Mr. Katanga.
That's a fun name. yes, and Marion gets another gift of a gown from a man that seems like, what are his motives? I don't know. But Indiana's like, all of his injuries have caught up with him. They're making their escape right now. He's just trying to he's just sitting. He still has his hat. What the fuck's wrong with him? Take your hat off. She comes in looking very pretty, but she wants to fix his wounds or whatever. Do the thing they let women do. And let me just put something that's going to burn, and you're going to be a big tough man. You're going to go, I'm going to see you're so vulnerable. Oh my God. Except for everything on him hurts.
That's not true, Laci. She's not putting anything on him. She's just helping him take off his...
Yep. Then she's got a thingy and she's dabbing. Look, she got water and thingies. Okay,
but clearly she is just trying to get fast forward to fucking and realizes he's not going to be able to. He hurts in too many places.
Okay. God, Jesus. Apologetic.
And God damn it, Indy, where doesn't it hurt? And he starts pointing at places.
Yeah, it is cute.
I think this is literally the only sexy scene in Spielberg's career.
I guess as the series goes, I will figure out if that's true, but I can't think of another sexy scene.
He's just not into sex. And he's a very sexless director. I think when he does it, it's kind of awkward. But this one is
fade to black.
This is pretty good. I mean.
But they also don't have sex, and they make that clear that they're not going to be having sex.
Well, he falls asleep, and she's like, Wait,
that's true. She does wake up naked.
And then it's the next morning, and she's naked. So obviously, he woke up in the middle of the night and had some classic middle of the night fucking. The best kind.
Sure.
And but it's just one of those, where doesn't it hurt? Here.
Okay, please don't do the whole, you're creeping me out. Just don't do the whole thing. We know the scene.
Okay, but can I tell you the ending of the most recent Indiana Jones movie? Let me just tell you what happens in this movie. Mm-hmm. It does the annoying thing that legacy sequels have to do. So the reason Indy and Marion have drifted apart, they're no longer with each other, is because their son, Shia LaBeouf, died in the Vietnam War.
Okay.
And they're both adrift, and they don't realize the other's in pain. Why can't they just figure it out and be there for each other? But he goes on his digs and stuff. And after the end of his big adventure in that movie, he's gotten the shit beaten out of him, and he's injured in all kinds of ways. And he wakes up after being passed out for days or whatever. And he wakes up and Marion's there in his apartment. He's like, Marion. And she's like, yeah, I heard you were back. And there's so much unspoken between them. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. She's like,
then they do the scene again.
The way it leads up to it is, but she's like, I'm emotionally hurt.
Right.
And and there's some sense, and he goes, well, where doesn't it hurt? Mm. So it's not only do they do it again, but they reverse the roles.
Yes.
You have to do, it's like a law. You have to do that. As if the characters have seen the movie Raiders of the Lost Ark. Remember our classic exchange from that boat?
Okay.
And yet it's
now look who cares about fucking what makes sense.
Stuff like that, because I can see the cynical strings. I can see that this will give people a little dopamine hit. That's the thing like the other thing.
All right, come on.
I'm coming.
Ew.
What happens next, Laci?
The Germans find them on their big boat.
They do.
And they come aboard it, and they are looking for Indy, but Indy went down like a garbage chute or a blowhole or something. And Marion is being offered as a sex slave. I don't know. What's it?
Katanga.
Katanga is trying to do his best to keep her on board, keep her safe, but it's negotiated that he doesn't get negotiation rights, and then she is taken. And the Ark, I guess, goes with them. Yes. And then the next thing you know, you see Indy in the water climbing up on the boat. Because after the two of those things.
Yes. And the guys on the ship cheer because they see him running across the deck of the U-boat. And this is one of those things that people are always like, plot hole. How did Indy get into the submarine before it dived?
Dived.
It's actually dived.
Oh, I don't ever get it right.
And this is the first time I watched the movie and realized, no, but the submarine doesn't dive.
Yeah, it's above.
Yeah.
Just because it can do both doesn't mean it's doing it.
Yeah, I think, in fact, they spend more time. No, I don't know what I'm saying. But the next time we see him out of the water watching the submarine come in. So he must have been on top of this thing the whole time. And then jumped off and swam to shore.
There you go.
There you go.
Idiots. Watch the movie.
Get a fucking clue. So they go to this weird island in the Greek Sea. And what's wrong?
Well, you've got the face melting picture up like I wasn't going to respond to it, idiot. This is crazy. What's he covered in? Ew. Is it glue?
I don't
Ew.
know what he's covered in.
All right. Well, instead of killing them, they've tied them to a stake. And they're kind of away.
Well, but first,
Wait. Yeah.
he holds them up with a bazooka. He's like, you can keep
They
the
don't
ark.
expect him. They don't expect him. And he's like, I got a bazooka. I'm going to blow it up or give me the girl. And they call his,
Jones!
and they call his Shia LaBeouf. And LaBeouf. Damn it. Fuck my joke. And he's like, yeah, you're right. I do want to see what's in it. Or I don't want to destroy this thing. This thing is important. And we are not important enough to destroy it. And so the next thing you see, I'm pretty sure, is just them very gingerly tied to a stake. Mm-hmm. And they're about to open the ark. And this is a whole bunch of guys like strategically placed.
Belloc is even dressed in this ancient like priestly garb.
That's what they say. Like they he believes in the religious part of it, and he feels that they need to do this Jewish ceremony to open the ark justly. And the way he's doing that through faith reason, I'm pretty sure, unless he doesn't believe that he actually make it out alive in time to see it, and he wants to see inside of it. But the German guys like, I don't want to do it. And anyway, Belloc's like, do you really want to open this in front of Hitler and find out then that it's empty? And it's like, oh, that's smart. Good manipulation, Belloc. So they do a ceremony.
They do.
Which could just be made up. Belloc could just be like, blah, 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 I just want to open it.
He too is just making it up as he goes
Well,
along.
he just wants to see it. Like this is just his ruse. Like, open it now, open it now, open it now.
Open it now after we march across this island to this weird spot. And this is filmed in Tunisia. And in fact, this was filmed in the same canyon that in the first Star Wars movie, Obi-Wan Kenobi's house is in. Once you notice that, you're like, oh yes, it is lit. It is
it looks
identical.
like it. Look, yeah. It also looks like the place where they are in Dune when they walk through mountains and like they're looking on the sides. And it's just a good place to put people.
Don't look at it. Don't look at it, Marion. I keep meaning to watch this movie. And is that seated anywhere? Is there any clue? Like, what are the people in the painting doing? Oh, they're not looking because they know.
I don't know. But no, I can't. As a not having seen it a bunch of times, I can tell you I don't remember that. And I was trying to pay attention.
I wrote in my notes, is Belloc just a cosplayer? Is he a huge nerd? I think, I mean,
he's an archaeologist. Any archaeologist is a huge nerd.
But like in a real, like, I don't know.
What?
It's weird that he does that. But I guess he just does actually believe in the...
But they're also history teachers, right? I mean, those two things go together. So he understands the history and the lore. And we think does believe in the magic of it or the religious side of it. So if you really believed that, you would go ahead and just cover your bases.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not.
I guess. But the god comes out and kills them all, and it looks cool as hell. It does.
Yeah, it's fine. It's like a sexy lady, then it's a skull, and then it's lightning.
And all three of these, Dietrich, Belloc, and Toth, all these actors are making good faces, like as they look in, just mouths agape. Mm-hmm. So yeah, back in the United States,
they're making Spielberg faces of wonder.
The transition into horror. But Belloc makes the Spielberg face to the end. He knows he doesn't even know he's about to die. He's just like, holy shit, I'm looking at a lady in space.
It's very Ghostbusters.
Back in the United States, the two Army intelligence officers from the beginning tell Jones and Brody, we have the Ark. It's in a secure facility. It's under the supervision of top men. Indiana says, who?
Right, because they're the top men in their field. Who's your top men? Who know more about this than me? I'm the top men.
It's so great.
And it's just at an Amazon fulfillment center.
Yes. I think it was Kathleen Kennedy who pointed out, because the movie was originally going to jump from this scene with the army guys to the warehouse. And she said, shouldn't we check in with Marion one final time?
Yeah.
So you can tell this is a reshoot with Indy coming down the stairs and Marion meeting him there, because he's like, where is this? And then she's just like, sorry about the Ark thing. Want to get a drink?
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do.
Yes, and I would too. And yeah, it turns out the government's hoarding all kinds of ancient religious magic.
Oh, I didn't. I took that to mean that the government seizes lots of stuff and none of it's more important than they don't care about any of it.
Or that.
Even this is just getting filed away.
Yeah.
Under mine. These are mine.
Are we any better than the Germans?
That's not what I'm saying.
Laci, here's your
I'm
opportunity
struggling.
to give your final thoughts.
I'm struggling with, because I've already given, did I give 4s to the last 2 movies or 4.5s? Meeting E.T. and Jurassic Park specifically. I can't remember.
You gave 4.5, 4.5, and 4. E.T. and Jurassic Park 4.5, Minority Report 4.
Okay. I'm going to go 4 with this one then. I was struggling between 3.5 and 4. 3.5 seems too low. It's not for me, this movie, but I'm trying to base my ratings on a more criteria than less.
On more criteria than less.
Well, I'm just saying, like, my criteria used to be, do I like it? And then once I started thinking about this more thoroughly, I added 5 things. And I think I just kind of keep adding along the way of, like, package, execution. Did it do what it was trying to do?
Does it have Nazis?
Right. So 4.
4. Okay, good rating.
Oh, thank you.
You're what the fuck?
Wow. Oh, my God. Sorry, I'm just kidding.
All these movies I'm giving 5 stars. It sucks. Next week's movie I'm going to give 5
I think
stars.
it's true to whatever. Just be you.
I know.
You suck.
I sometimes worry I'm too generous with my ratings. I give this movie
What
5
could
stars.
happen?
I love it. It's one of my favorite movies. It's one of his best. It was one of Spielberg's best movies. It's the best thing George Lucas was ever involved in. That's right. It's better than any Star Wars movies.
Boom. Smartest thing you've ever said on this podcast.
Thanks.
Welcome.
Hey. And it's like one of the best movies of the 80s. It's one of the best action movies. It's, I still think Harrison Ford's actually better as Han Solo, so I wouldn't say it's his best role.
That's only because he carries the entire fucking movie with his smirk.
And you wouldn't say he carries this movie?
I mean, he's the star. He's the reason to watch it. But no, Marion is strong. Yeah.
Marion
She's
is strong.
strong.
I mean, Han Solo has
And
a journey to
great
go
villain. A great an endearing kind of villain, and then a villain.
Star Wars does not have good villains, you're saying.
Oh no, just famously shit villains.
But Han Solo does at least have a character journey to go on. He starts in one place and ends up and Indiana Jones is kind of not like James Bond. He's a static character. He is.
But people are static.
You project
A lot of
yourself
people
onto
are.
him, and that's fine. And I like that. Yeah, 5 stars. Just great movie. Love this movie. Seen it so many times. We'll continue seeing it. All right, next week, episode 122.
Not looking forward to this.
The summer of Spielberg marches on with one of my favorite movies of his, AI, Artificial Intelligence.
I'm
I
worried
have
it's
this-
going to be too sad.
It is a sad. I
But
don't know if
don't-
it's sad so
we'll
much
see.
as
Child
it's
danger.
tough, but it's also entertaining as hell.
Okay.
But it's a horror movie about being a human being and why that fucking sucks. That you learn about through the eyes of a robot.
Who sees dead people.
And I think people think that this movie is like really good up until the ending that feels like a forced happy ending. And I say, you're misreading the ending. The ending is bleak and scary.
I can't wait to tell you what I think then.
Okay. So AI next week, July 19th, 2024. That's it. Otherwise, thanks for all your support of Load
Thank
Bearing
you.
Beams. Tell a friend.
The
Why don't
audience
you?
has been growing. It feels nice.
It's crazy. Every week.
It's not crazy. It's normal and it's nice.
Sorry.
And it's well deserved.
It is well deserved. We work hard. We're proud of the thing we put out. We like doing it. We like the friends we've made. We like that people we do not know listen.
Sometimes we don't turn on the camera.
And sometimes
Mistakes are made. Review us. Rate us. Spotify us if you have to.
Yeah, we haven't gotten an iTunes review in a little while. Please, somebody review us on iTunes so it looks like people listen, because they do.
If you know you haven't yet and you like us personally as humans, please just fucking go do it. Truly. If
And
you
then-
listen this far into the podcast, you're the kind of person that should.
Yes.
It is your job.
It can literally just say, I listened and they told me to put this.
No, please don't fucking say that. Say what you think, even if it's bad, but don't say anything bad.
And we're also on YouTube. The show is the same on audio and video, but
You know
we're
our shit.
all the places you can find us. You can
Anyone that
find-
would listen this late in the episode would just know all these things, right, Matt?
So we don't need to do it.
Okay, Matt
can
Stokes
go.
9 on Twitter, load Baron Pod on Twitter, and then the load.baron.bean.
What is this voice
I
you're
don't
doing?
know. I thought I was going to go fast
Mardi Gras
like an
voice?
auctioneer. I don't know what I was doing.
You're doing an
It's
auctioneer.
kind of Mardi Gras, yeah.
Follow the show on Twitter at LoadBearingPod. Follow me on Twitter, MattStokes9. Follow me on TikTok at MattStokes9.
Don't
The
do
show
that.
on
Follow
TikTok at load.bearing.beams.
Go there.
Load Bearing Beams is also on Instagram at Load Bearing Beams. I'm on Letterboxd at MattStokes9. Lacey's on Letterboxd at
Loadbox lady. Loadbox lady. Load-bearing Laci.
Load-bearing Laci. And my band Rural Route 9 does the music for Load Bearing Beams, including the song you're hearing now, including the Summer of Spielberg theme song. And that is thanks to TJ Behrens and Wade Heenel, who helped Laci and I make that song. So check us out. Maybe you'll enjoy the music. Maybe you'll not just find a podcast you like, but a band you like too.
Wow.
That's all I got.
Okay, I love you. Goodbye.
3, 4. Everybody, love bearing beams, love bearing beams, love bearing